I've now hit the record button. This is Mike Lindsay in LA, and this is a recorded session of our Revit training session with our consultant Peter. And we have the rest of our Revit team, Robin in Boston, Simi in New York. Mike, unfortunately, couldn't join us today, but I'll make sure to share all the details with him. So, with that, I wanted to pass it over to Peter. Right now we're looking at your desktop, and we get this thing started.
Thank you so much, Michael. You went over several topics that you wish to cover, and maybe we can just cover those here of an index of what we're going to try to cover today in this session. First, block creations. We start a title block from scratch. Potentially, if we have CAD title blocks already built up, what do we do? How to start and make a new fixture family. Fixture family will do several types. Third is changing a hosted fixture to a non-hosted fixture and vice versa. Fourth is doing a fixture schedule, how to do one. Number 5 would be doing your lighting power density calculations. Would be project closeout. We should add to the list, or are those 6 topics we're hoping to get done today?
Were those kind of covered what I was looking for? I don't know if there's anything from Robin or Simi that.
Run the WebEx number.
Cool. If there's anything that they wanted to add to the mix here.
Covers it. I don't have anything additional.
Great. Well,
yeah, I don't have anything additional either at the moment.
Great. Okay. So this is wisely recording this. Let's into it. Title block creation. Okay, title blocks work like any other object in Revit. There are families, right? There are families that control how the different types of title blocks as they house the different types of fixtures that may be in a project. And firms take 2 different approaches. They can try to put all of their title blocks within one title block family. You could say a title block, you just have one family, use multiple types of that, and the title block would grow and shrink and parametrically dependent upon the size. Just in fixture, we can get the title block to grow and shrink. Complicated because oftentimes firms have so many different types of title blocks, sketch title blocks. Trying to get an 8.5 by 11 title block to stretch out to become a 36 by 48 title block is hard. There are ways to do it, though, within that family. A different approach that, and I believe this is the way that HLB had it set up previously, is that you have different families for different sizes. Is that correct?
Yeah, okay. And the reason I wanted to touch on this is actually we recently went through not a rebranding, but we looked at CAD in particular and our kind of presentation format and really revamped all of our title blocks and presentation sheets to kind of this consistent language. So what we're going to need to do for Revit is really transfer kind of the same that information that's already been developed, create its Revit title blocks that match. So in mind, one of the things I guess that I wanted to go over is if we could take one of our CAD blocks as a reference and go through the process of Revit, I think that question we would probably have separate Revit things for the sizes. We wouldn't kind of group them all together, but going through that process, then I think our team could hopefully take the reins and kind of build these something like like that?
Yeah, we've got quite a few, but I agree with Michael.
It makes a lot of sense to break it up. Yeah, so I would foresee that you would have an HLB presentation title block family. Within that, you may have a few different sizes. If it's close to one another, you may have anywhere from 11 by 17 up to 30 by 42 or something, if it's a fairly simplified title block. But we'll take a look. Let's just get right into it. I mean, the transition, and very wisely, this has all been done in CAD first. In some ways, I think that CAD just does a better job with title block creation. And by that I mean it tightens things a little bit tighter. If anyone's noticed this, in Revit, sometimes your text will have, lines expand a little bit by about 10, maybe 15% in size. And it's just the way that Revit handles dimensioning and text and things like that. I think in CAD we're able to get things much tighter. And the fact that it's built up is good. It makes a very easy transition. Go.
Or point him to one of our examples?
I can lead Peter to that. Peter, if you open my computer.
You know what? Let's do it through the process that we're about ready to do. I'll actually be browsing for these, if that will make sense.
Yep.
Great. Okay, let's everyone just off of your startup block, startup splash screen, hit 2. We're going to go for a, R pull down, new. Title block. Size. We're going to allow it to be generic for the time. We'll hit open. So starts you off with an 8.5 by 11. It does not going to be able to grow and shrink as we need it to. First thing we'll want to do, though, is if we have existing title blocks already made. I'm here, and the base template, you cannot delete the outermost lines. They're stuck with them. It's not actually a bad thing. When you see title blocks, you see the category here is title blocks. Some people like to start out by making those invisible. Tab. You then do invisible lines. Consider most boundaries of the sheet. Okay, and so everything that we're going to try to do is working inside of that. Now, browsing at the type of title block that we want to create, and I'm going to make a decision on whether or not I want it to grow and shrink and have a few different sizes. You have to think about it almost from the beginning, whether or not you want it to grow and shrink or not. But maybe take a look at what you already have created. I'm going to go to the Insert tab, go to Import CAD. Okay, here I'll take some guidance on where the
so you're going to
title blocks are. Okay. All right.
Let's like drawing at the bottom.
Okay. Good. So here we're currently importing this. This is going to be native to the project.
Sorry. Do you want an individual block? Because then go CAD title block. It looks like.
Yeah, that would actually be. Yeah, I think this makes sense. We want to bring in the whole thing. That said, is that
all side of that HLB template?
Them are contained within there. just different tabs?
Correct.
Let's do visuals. That will make a little bit more sense. But what is, I guess L and P are landscape and portrait?
Correct.
Okay, great. And do you have any sketch title blocks or presentation title blocks per se?
No, not currently.
Well, you're working, let's just right there, maybe, let's do 24 by 36. How does that sound?
Okay.
Go ahead, open. We're going to allow it just to default to center. Space. E for extent. AL for a line to the outermost boundary. Okay. Will not. Go. So here we go. We have a 24 by 36 that's been brought in. Everything good there. Remember we had some trouble with your logo? I think I'm having a little trouble panning. Forgive me here.
Yeah, I think the way that I fixed that was I just imported a JPEG of our logo and placed it in there. Is what we're currently using on the title, our Revit title block.
And so good. Here within this, we brought in this block. We really it doesn't look like we need to explode it down. There's nothing here text-wise that needs to alter from project to project, or we're going to put in the data that fills in here for date, issues, scale, project number, title, all of those things. This part, it's looking pretty good. It's important. So we're manage files. Where is that import? It came in as inches. All things. You see that there is an explode. Let's just full explode and see. And the nice thing about doing the full explode is that we are able to see and everything. So brought in, those are all filled regions.
Load option?
Brought in, select the title block,
yep.
And load is at the top of the screen.
I see that.
The title block, the CAD title block in the drawing area.
Yeah.
Can explode. Full explode did not have good results. I'm going to try a partial explode. I have
oddly exploding.
So you went through the insert and import CAD.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
And at the top of your screen, you're not getting the explode. Are you
No.
Do you have one?
Create, insert, view, manage, and then modify, import, and families.
Imports and families. And you don't have any of these other explode.
No.
And reinsert the title block.
Okay.
Explode. Anyone else having the same problem?
Yeah,
Yes, I am.
problem.
What version of Revit are you in?
2013. Should successfully explode it down?
Similar to
Been the talk through. I'm just going to delete it. Insert import CAD by 36. We'll hit the valid elements in the paper space. Yes. Okay. Down. Block, and you're not getting any of these options for explode or partial explode.
No.
I'm gonna
Subcategory.
physically come over.
Okay. Okay. I know that's not what I use the Revit 2013 on the conference room computer would be different than the Revit 2013 we have.
Right now, this is still that's strange. They were exactly the same in that regard.
Can you explode any other way? No. Okay. Alright, you click the arrow button, guys, to the Modify tab. Go through your toolbars. It should read to find it, Michael.
why go through to do that though? Because it's set up as a whatever. I don't know.
So a bunch of known issues, and that's probably one of them. I'm thinking that there's a lot of trouble with derivatives. I'm not sure why. That couldn't solve it. They are. And so everyone has explode, good catch. Have to do. You shouldn't normally have to do that. So let's do a partial explode. That's good. Things like your title block, low impact. It'll keep text in your fonts, and incorrect. To hide my perimeter and my sunglasses, really for these corner blocks too. And I want to take these, I want to get anything out of the way that's meant to be invisible, and really those corner blocks probably could be at that point invisible. Imported. You see the other line types that are available? You have the HLB, that are now available in there as well. That's one issue with importing versus linking. If you import, and then you explode something, it starts to make a little bit of a mess of the line types that are their project, and it can. There's of Revit helper tools that are being developed. Of course, the word is apps these days, and there are some great apps out there that actually allow you to line types after into Revit. So there are good things out there to help you get rid of AutoCAD line work that is maybe troublesome. And keep these corner points in here. They're always good as a reference. I'm making them invisible lines.
You could red corners around can be.
Yeah, those are supposed to be non-plot as well, aren't they? They don't show up at all.
No.
Correct.
So non-plot. Let's just take visible lines, and I'm going to it definitely makes things interesting.
Yeah.
Revit for the first time, it feels like.
Yeah, it's pretty rough, I have to say.
Oh, okay, so here we are. We've been reduced down to really simple parts. Let's do a window around everything. The goal in a title block like this to take AutoCAD-ness out of it. And what we're going to try to do is we're going to get all the lines into being native Revit. Filter. And off text notes, I'm going to take off the imports and families. Of our line work, we're going to change this over to be title blocks. They're meant to be an invisible line, isn't it?
Where did you get the filter from?
So select just to do a big window around everything. You should see the filter.
Going through again. Yep. There you go. Okay. And where are we unchecking?
Change. You want to go. You want just lines. You want to uncheck text notes and uncheck imports and families. You can just filter it down to the line work. Line to native Revit line work called title blocks.
Okay. And themselves. You go to your Manage tab, Object Styles, and simply change the color of those lines. You don't absolutely have to make them native Revit. Just do it to make it clean. But it's not
not the worst thing. We're going to try to keep we need to make a Revit version of this, but for all the text, when you select the text, that's the next thing that we need to work on, is get text to be black versus yellow, right? So you can take the native text that's coming in, and I'm going to start at the top and change its color to be black. Imagine is correct from the AutoCAD settings that it came in with, its size, its width factor. I'll have to change this over and over for many, many different types. Each one of these are broken in different types. Yeah. But this is the one element, your logo, that we may need to make a Revit version of. That it has to be done. You'll have to make it black and white. You can do it in a CAD file and then bring it in, make it so it's black and white. But that conversion we won't be able to do today. Like if we do filter, now I'm just going to grab text notes. Okay. And because over in my properties, they popped up as just one type of text. I'm just going to hit type. We'll hit OK. So that's pretty good. Rather the plot stamp, because we're going to make a smart tag that handles that. I'm going to check my sunglasses and go reset my Prairie Height isolate. I see everything again. I'm going to do a quick save just to, in my case, the desktop. You have, as you're saying, for different sizes. I mean, I've worked with firms who want to try to put all of them within one. It becomes cumbersome. So for this exercise, let's go.
Did you just save as family or save as template?
Oh, hit save.
Just kidding. Oh, all right, thank you.
Just save puts it, and I saved it to my desktop there. And I'm going to delete these dimension lines. We really don't need this. For the way that we're setting these up, and it really seems like the way you'd like to set them up, we don't need to get them to grow and shrink. You know, say, okay, we're going to leave the rightmost title block information the same for all of our title blocks, and we're just going to vary the size to make them parametric. And 6 in one, half dozen the other, as far as I can tell. How to start making this title block smart? Well, let's begin with the HLB template. I'm sorry, I'm reading the stamp. That's what I want it to read from where it's coming from. Now, I already a shortened version, and we may we'll see what happens. What we use is something called a label, and I'll make sure I understand what size this is. This is a Libri, and it's 19-256. On the tab, different from text. Plain text, which this currently is because it was brought in from Revit, from AutoCAD, will change automatically. However, will. And a label, let's just add a new type. We're going to hit Edit Type, Duplicate, and we're going to call this .256. 19/256 inches. I like to make the background transparent. That's settings for a label. And essentially, this type we are essentially trying to match to. It asks us where do we want to start it. We just left click to start near the text box that we already had. We're going to go to a date timestamp. These are available values that this label can read from the project. Okay? Timestamp, we can also do file path. My apologies, I think we're really more looking for file path, correct?
Correct.
Because we're in the 2-column format, we're going to add file path over the we want this label to read. So, in the drawing here, we now on top of that, and just I'm going to take the length out of it. Okay, let's see how this acts. Open project. Load project. Don't watch my screen for a little while. I'm going to start a new project. Into that project. Right, new sheet. We're going to use HLB 24 by 36. Short file path. I don't know how this label is behaving in the real HLB server environment.
Box though, right? And just make it as long as you may need it if it's...
That's correct, although I've had some instances where it became half the width of the sheet and it just was absurd. There are unfortunately there is no way currently to shorten that. So doing file path, I've seen some firms decide to turn it vertically, and it can go as tall as it needs to go. And it's not quite as obtrusive, but how lengthwise to everyone?
I think good. Okay. I'm trying to get one of the projects open. Unfortunately, it just takes a while.
Did you get this title block into one of your projects?
No. Most of my projects are 2012 projects.
Great. Great. You were able to get it into yours?
Open.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, Mike, as that one's loading, we'll go back to and continue some of the other labels. We can watch this work as we go. I'm going to close that view. Okay, back here in the family, let's start with something simple. Date issued and scale and project number. Are these the text intended to remain on sheet, so it says project number and then the project number, or is project number the text that we see placed by a number?
No, that goes, and then the wording actually goes below it.
Okay.
Let me open a pad file.
Oh, numbers would go below the project, the type project number.
Great.
Okay.
Size that text is supposed to be that goes below.
I think
opening a project right now. Hold on one second.
And also, Peter, is it possible, I know in our current title block we don't have this, to be able to do multiple lines of text? Because for instance, like if our is over, or we need to go to a second line, you end up having to space or tab a whole bunch to get it to go to the second line.
Yep.
Can we just have a second line set up? Or
it's unfortunate. You can't get it to split automatically. The best way to get it to oh, you were saying for project name?
For project name or title, like if level 4 and then next line for to say lighting layout.
Is it wrap text or something along those lines? Like.
Yes, like the file path. When you use the length of that label box.
Yep.
Unfortunately, that applies to all.
Okay. You can't just create separate of text. Since under title, could we have lines of text and I could just type in the first box and the second box and the third box?
It's going to be automatic so that it reads, so that it jives with the project browser.
Right. It ends up looking super weird because we end up with like 10,000 spaces. The title doesn't read like level 4 lighting, next line, layout.
I mean, there isn't a way. It become clearer. Maybe there's a way we can add a of generic text, but to read, to read. Say if we bring on, like name this sheet, right? Unnamed. Name in, let's say, lighting level 1, very, very large,
Right.
Something very long like that.
Yep.
That's the problems, right?
That's where we're running into problems. It splits it in weird places. So instead of it reading A101 lighting level 1, it'll say like A101 lighting, next line, level 1 enlarged, next line, plan.
With it, it's unfortunately it's a one size fits all.
Here's the sizes, and they're all in Calibri.
Awesome. Very, very kindly printed out the title block, the intended outlines for all the text within a project. Wonderful. Thank you very much. So what we want to do is let's just start with project name. And these are all Calibri, and they're all going to be starting out with 1/4 inch. For project name and title, those are both 1/4 inch, so we can use the same label type. Tab, label, and make a Calibri 1/4.
Duplicate instead of just clicking and making a new one? Is there a difference?
Making a new one to duplicate it.
Oh, okay. When you just go to create label and that window, and then you just hold on.
Yeah, because it picks the last size. Let me just show you here. Quick project name. I'm just going to select project name. We'll add that over there. We'll hit OK. Okay. See, once I've started these different sizes, I have Calibri, 19256. Look, I can change that. That's good. Now, to what we've been discussing so far is the extent of where that text goes to. See how it begins to wrap after a certain point? Ideally, so it's somewhat like this. And vertical alignment is top and as there are carriage returns that are forced, wrap and it'll work its way down. Unfortunately, there's no other way to do any better here on this Rob, and that's probably one size fits all, unfortunately, for all the title blocks.
Okay.
Notice too, there's no snaps for text, so it's a lot of kind of WYSIWYG stuff. I don't really, there are boundaries of text, as I was saying. I think they tend to balloon things. You can't snap, so you have to eyeball it. I don't like to eyeball anything in the world, right? But unfortunately, we have to on this. Okay, so this project name, the middle of each sheet is also quarter inch, so I can use the same. I'm going to use the C command. I'm going to come on that point. And accessing project name, I'm going to go to edit label. Project name, I'm actually going to discard project name, remove it, to sheet name.
I think you have to filter through. Yep.
And there we are. Sheet name simply is going to wrap. You probably can get about 3 before that. Michael, did you get that project open by any chance?
Did, and I'm still the one comment that I had is, or the question that I had was, enabled. So the file that I'm opening is off of my desktop.
Okay.
Still getting a similar path like you have, where it says, C, HLB user, all that. Would recommendation be, if we're making sheets, then to a client, that we would go back to the model and do that, or is there a way to kind of get the path of the central model instead of our local file?
Yeah, exactly right. There is actually a lot of documentation out about this very fact online. There's approaches to it. Yeah, many firms are saying are doing archived sets from the central model for that exact reason. What you can do is ZE.
Have a problem with them seeing that path. I mean, to be perfectly honest, when I get a drawing set, I could care less what the path of their project is, but I could see it being possibly useful for our internal team if they needed to reference where a file might be located in the future, but I think that's a rare occurrence. I think we should know where our files generally are.
Well, I don't think that anyone knowing where your local file is helpful. It's obvious on your desktop, right?
Exactly. And I don't know how you handle...
That's very helpful, but that's me.
Yeah. How you handle archiving, too.
Part of our closeout question.
Yeah, because if you archive it and then you change the file path, ultimately, what good was that to be with?
Right.
Yeah,
I don't think we know how to do it, which is good, and maybe Art figures out what we want that to actually say, or if it's worth it, that type of stuff. Right. But don't worry about it too much for right now.
Yeah, sometimes I find firms really much prefer a date and a timestamp. The user who drew it, or drawn by, and tracing it back. But yeah, that's really what that's probably the your biggest challenge is figuring you want to handle that path thing to happen, and whether or not you really even need it. Exactly right.
Right. One thing I actually just ran into was the text sizing of various labels that we're creating. One, I had made that small. In creating the project name one, however, that one was also small, and when I change it makes the other.
That's right. Did you, do the, how can we do this? You made the project name.
I think he needs to create another label.
Right. When you go into edit type and you get out with the small one.
Gotcha. There. Yep. Those are both the same. Yep. Okay.
Yep.
Thank you.
Sure. This is a good time also to talk about just purge paths. Sometimes I love to clean up as much as I can along the way. Manage tab, purge unused. Hit check none just to start off. But look at text. We it came in. The label it came in. The default label is tag 1. Arrows, filled elevation. We don't need that. We can clean up a little bit, which is kind of nice. And look at the labels that we've made thus far. They're in the project. It's my OCD kicking in, but keeping it all clean.
Yep.
But let's copy sheet name down for project number. CO, end of something or the midpoint of something. Does anyone know how to control that? Shortcut you can use S, and it's a 2-letter system. S and E would be for snap end, and it'll only select endpoint, which is only typed. M for midpoint. SN for snap nearest. Shortcut to help you just point A to point B a little faster. So project number, this next piece is just a little too large. We're supposed to be at 3/16 of an inch. Hit do 3/16. There we go. Still reading the table value of sheet name. And to project number. And this is nice. You can take the sample value, and this one I'm going to make it a little different. I'm going to make it match the format. First and foremost, for the number, I noticed that your type, it has a pound sign in it. You can make that a prefix, or number, you can put the pound sign. Probably going to use the pound sign as the prefix, and the project number will be, say, XX 1.Z. Okay. The way that it starts to control text and the way it starts to control these things, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
CEO, we're going to use that same size 2 times and click. Well, we're going to copy this twice. It's scale and for date issued. Both of those are 3/16 as well. Scale. Edit. Scale. Now, scale up at the scale of the one single viewport that's been brought on. Once there are multiple viewports, it's going to basically say, look, we have multiple viewports here, multiple scales. Sounds fine.
Got the hard.
Is that good or bad in your world?
making text underneath each of the viewports and to say the individual scales. We couldn't figure out how to get the scale section to work the way they want to.
Great.
Is there a way to default it to say like as noted or something along those lines?
It does default already. It says as noted. If there.
Okay.
Yeah. Once there's more than one, it says as noted. There we are. And then we can go down here to date issued. Edit. We're going to take this parameter, remove it, and to issue date. This is also a question we'll ask ourselves internally. Is it the sheet issue date or is it the project issue date?
Issue date. Yep.
And it looks like that matches your date format.
Wouldn't the projects being issued, though? If we're submitting sheets, today, but our project may not due until June 15th.
We personally don't ever, our sheets are just reference PDFs. We always do the date that we issue.
See, and I would
need to remove that comma also within the year. Issue.
Well, most commonly, we've been carrying Revit services on a lot of projects. Yep. And most of those projects, just because of time, we're issuing sheets for inclusion within the D set.
I see.
Afterwards, electrical takes it and they're fun. I don't think it's a sticking point. It's just something for us to be aware of. Yeah. We know how we can change it one way or the other.
Yep. We pretty much never issue. We try to ever have our drawings issued, licensed.
And I would say other caveat to that is we're never going to have these drawings really issued in a set in terms of HLB title block.
Right. That's exactly.
Sheets would be part of another with the title block that the architect gives us, all that type of stuff. Okay. So I would then now retract my statement and apologize for wasting everybody's time and agree with Robin.
Sheet issue date, there it is. Comma there or not, it doesn't really matter. Because this gets put into project through the system is really going to determine how that date format comes out.
Okay. And then we're missing some things on here that didn't seem in.
Is it by any chance the stuff here looks like maybe a project name?
Yes, and the sheet name at the bottom.
Okay.
I think the ref one I gave you, Peter, I think the one I gave you just happened to only have one line, but we actually have two lines in the template, just in case it's a longer title name. The example I gave you has 1301 Atwood, but there'd be a line above that matches 1301 Atwood.
Thank you very, very much. Oh, wait, let's copy down one of our existing labels. It appears that the sheet number is supposed to be 5/8 of an inch tall. And I copied one. To duplicate it, we're going to make it Calibri. RCP-1A. And see normally fits. Alignment wants to be maybe mid and then centered probably on this one. We're eyeballing, unfortunately. Not really probably the way that many of us want to do it. but there's no snapping with Revit text.
Why?
Yep. It don't multi-line text very well either. After I was so thrilled when AutoCAD finally came out with great multi-line text control, and jumping back into Revit, I was thinking, okay, well, it's going to finally catch up and get better now that Autodesk has the product, and it never
has.
Well, it's snapping with text, unfortunately. Okay. Up, and we're going to unfortunately have to eyeball again a project where we think the it's a redundant field.
Bigger.
It's supposed to be 1/2 inch. Name. Because in case it wraps, it'll actually wrap up. And we can grab another piece of 3/16 we have. See, up. And progress.
Yep.
Yeah, it's just an awful lot of text management, but it does come in an intelligent way, doesn't it?
It does.
Yeah,
How do we do the auto-populate of the issues?
Yes. So coming up next. So, what is we want to, under View, Revision Schedule. Revision Schedule. The available fields, number, except for number, by, and then the revision. Date gets moved up. We don't have, so we have to make that. Work. Okay. And revision sequence. Today, revision.
I've only started using it actually now with Revit because it's now auto-populated and Google wants 17 billion revisions.
Yeah.
Honestly, it's a revision 1.
The sequence actually referred to, is that like the number you, like what you just said, revision 1, would that be, is that the sequence? Is the description something else?
No, so revision number, I've never used that value, revision sequence. I wouldn't know what it does. Yeah. Descriptions can get long though, so they're not always, it's not always good to have that one in there.
Yeah, I'm sure also what our last column means, to be honest.
Okay.
Revision mean, anyone know?
I don't know now that you bring it up.
Okay.
I 3.
Yeah, that's so Brandon's saying that it's the revision description, but the description is going to be too long to fit where we have it.
Yeah. unless you keep it first short.
Right.
You know, we can put revision description there. Let's just
Do we just take out reviewed by? Is that really necessary for a revision?
Yeah, reviewed by is not necessary.
So put revision where reviewed by is and just have the line available.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So is really the description, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Okay. Got it. So what we're going to do here is we are going to in properties we're going to call this Control and Tab over. You'll see why. In view schedule review. I'm just going to drag on. So we hit there, hit schedule, and what I do is I want to pull off I wonder if this is a ribbon thing too. For the available fields, probably through the project browser here. But I'm going to appearance and hit edit, and I'm essentially going to take off the title and I'm off the headers.
To that window?
Project browser, revision schedule, and over in the properties, hit appearance. There's more. When you put this, it's basically a trial and error in how you then rearrange it, see it. And remove. We're just going to go revision description, so we only have 3. This will populate. Now, it's going to be a little bit of work to as you fill in with multiple revisions, the team works out with your lines. That's the problem. 2 things you can do. You can either say, okay, we're going to get this to work with multiple lines, let our lines out of there, and allow the revision schedule to do the work. You can add between each. By the way, Arial, one is all Calibri, and we'll make this. What do you think the text size is? 3, maybe.
Yeah.
Okay. We line. There's a line there. Then it'll automatically do it. So that's a little bit of tuning that you're going to have to do. What's that?
You do a user-defined height.
You can. It's. Or you can automatically fill in. So it gives you a grid. It's a little different than what you had prior.
Right.
And what I was trying to see if we had the ability to do there, and we can't get rid of the verticals.
Yeah, that's going to be my question.
Yeah. So I tend to try to we don't do any grid lines. We leave it like and draw in line and match up to take, compare and distribute of lines that line up with.
Right.
To get it, you'll have to get two in place to align.
How did you get your box to be that big? I have one line still.
Schedule, appearance, and I changed it to the height to be user defined.
Yep. Okay.
And the spacing about right. I really have to apologize. I don't like doing anything where it's kind of close. That's only as accurate as Revit's going to get. And once you get those set, the CO model spacing. And when we select it, our lines are essentially on. So that's good.
Yep.
Yeah,
right.
I think it's coming together.
I'm a little off as we're going, but unfortunately that's as good as we can get.
Right.
So that's a complete title block.
A lot is the fact that we already have them built, like you mentioned.
Yep.
It's kind of, and then tweak to make it well.
It is. It is. I hope that was explicit enough, and as you're making them, actually, unfortunately, that I'm out of time for what I can do for the day. Can we same next week, same time?
Oh, let's look at what things are.
Yeah, I don't know about next week. We have somebody here next week at noon, and the day calc. Maybe should the following week, which is actually a scheduled Revit call.
Right. Next, the following week.
The
20th.
Great.
Okay. Cool.
Great.
Well, I think that's...
Send out another WebEx?
Yes, I can create one and WebEx, and then we can go through kind of similar stuff with families and lighting fixture schedule, just to give a quick preview to that. I think we have something that we can start as kind of a template, for lack of a better term.
Yeah.
I think it's mostly just getting, Peter, your input as to the kind of longer remarks. Can explain that a little bit more clearly. Or let me do this. Let me do an actual one really quick.
Sure.
Working in your head.
Cool.
Sure that this is different than a have. this is what our fixture schedule looks in kind of the current program that my team uses. Pretty much, I think all of this I can replicate except for this. It's something that requires multiple lines of text. It requires it's that I haven't been able to figure out quite yet. Else on here, fixture type, we've got description we can do, the elections, a little automatic, manufacturer and catalog number, lamping, things like that. Remarks area that is the hack, I think.
To do it, it just is very seeing the video hard to see, but it prints actually.
Yep.
Okay.
Really frustrating for a lot of teams because there are oftentimes very long pieces of text, but the text does not wrap.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, hard to see. It's like you have to write it outside of Revit and then copy and paste it in.
Mm-hmm.
Just open up one of your schedules quickly. Robin, do you feel you have a good handle on it?
On my schedule?
Yeah.
Our schedules look different, but we have done a schedule. Just took us our Word version and copy and pasted it in.
I think that I started messing with it in our template. Where the current one is. Otherwise, I'd have to hunt down where I put that.
No. Essentially what you can do is, I can do this within my sample project here if you want to switch me back to being the presenter.
Oh. Taking over my world.
Remember that pane when we were just doing the revision schedule and we were adding in available fields? When you're in a project, you make a custom parameter. Perfect. So here you can go to the appearance and go back to fields, parameter. It's right in the middle. Just an instance parameter, or it can be type driven. If you want all of your F1s to say the same thing.
Yeah.
And this is what I did, and then you can do it as text.
So hit type here, text, and then hit on the radio buttons, hit type.
Oh, gotcha.
And
it's frustrating, though, still to look at, I will tell you.
It really is.
And
when you get the project going and it starts filling in, you see how it starts to fill in.
What, I opened up a template, so this isn't the greatest example, but would then is there a remarks section now?
The concept, yeah, exactly. So you can add to remarks. Yep.
The problem is I wanted to then another line, so I'll move down to number 2, and exactly. I can't do that.
Yep. Yeah, exactly. It's a real making those schedules work, and that's the biggest reason why carriage return is impossible.
So really, okay.
Yeah, if you type it somewhere else and then cut and
form.
paste, you get multiple lines, but you still can't see
Right.
them.
Yeah, you have to do the pull-down menu.
Mm.
And sentence form, unfortunately. Yep. Now, there is something cool called an embedded schedule, and that's something that we should take a look at, because we could ultimately put a small schedule within that field that should have remark 1, remark 2, remark 3. It would say remark up to like 10, and automatically fill in. Let's look at that later.
Okay.
So,
all right, sounds doable. So it looks like we're looking for June 20th. I'll send out some things for everything and go.
Okay, so good. Hey, thanks everyone.
Perfect.
I'll start talking